I've got about 3 questions I'd like to ask all of you, just right quickly. How many of you, and I'll just start with you, Al, how many of you have been on an extensive amount of this route? Have you been on an extensive amount of this route?
Well, I've been on, you know, I've met you out in the field of one-day land, you know, and I've been on all the county roads.
But I'm talking out on the actual, where the route is.
You know, I'm not sure what your definition of extensive is. I've been all the way up and down Highway 83, and I've been on all the county roads running east and west through the area.
Okay, but the route is like from Thetford coming east is 97 miles. How many miles do you think you've been on that existing route?
I've just been at the locations. I don't know what the miles would be that I could visually have seen, but I've been on all the county roads that would intersect it. And I don't know, the eastern 25 miles or whatever along the county road there. So I'm not sure what that would add up to. But.
Clint.
Yes, as Al said, you know, we don't have a good east-west access through here, so for most of it, I've just seen where the county roads cross it, and also Highway 83, and then on the eastern 25 miles.
Aaron.
I haven't been on any property that I didn't have permission to access. So just like these other guys, I've seen a lot of the route from existing public access.
Paul, I think I already know your answer because under oath on October the 8th, you stated that your experience, the question was asked of you, so when you say you've been in the Sandhills, you've never been out of an automobile on paved road or standing on pavement with respect to your visit to the Sandhills. And you said for this project, no, but in past projects, yes. And the question was asked, when? And you said, well, we built a 345 kV line from Sidney, Nebraska to Kingsley Power Plant Station in 1980, and I was involved in those projects in my early years as an engineer and was out on the right-of-way while the construction was ongoing, and that's part of the Sandhills. That's my understanding. But if you look at the map, any map, that route is not what is considered the Sandhills. Has your position changed any from your under oath statement of October 8th?
My position, that I described what I had done previously. When I looked at the maps, I thought that was part of the Sandhills. If it's on borders of Sandhills, I guess I'm not an expert of where the boundary of the Sandhills was. But I was trying to describe the project that I'd been on that we built in the early 80s.
Judge Van Pelt.
Sir.
Answer the question, please.
You can, but I want to answer it. I'm a neutral. I'm not here to testify.
Tom Kent.
I've driven the route along Highway 83. I was invited on a landowner's property with a member of our board and a colleague along the line route in the Sandhills and viewed that. But like everyone else, I have not been on any property that I haven't been invited to be on.
I've driven on highway. I've driven on. I've driven on Highway 83. That's all. I've been up and down 83 quite a few times.
I've been up and down 83 quite a few times. I used to live in North Platte and hunted Valentine quite a bit, so I spent a lot of time other than just for this project in that area. And like everybody else, as far as the east-west portion, the last 25 miles where the road access is and wherever we had county roads that transected somewhere we could get a view, and wherever we've been invited on. But if we haven't had access by invite, we haven't been in those areas.
Okay, another quick question. I'll do the same thing. How many of you have lived close to 345 volt line? And by close, I mean within a mile.
I'm not within a mile of a 345.
Have you ever lived, I'm asking, have you ever lived within a mile of a 345?
No.
I have not either.
Nor have I.
I have not.
I've lived within 2 blocks of 115 kV line, and I've worked for 4.5 years, no, take that back, 5.5 years under several 345 kV lines, worked.
No. No, I've had a 500 kV line that runs across the north end of my farm for about 40 years.
Where I lived for the last 23 years, I have a 69 kV line and a 115 kV line within 150 feet of my house and a substation right behind my house.
But that's quite a bit different than a 345.
Yes, it is. That's my experience, what I have. Okay. So, no, I have not lived under a 345 line or within a mile.
Okay. Mr. Malone, I'm going to go back. You were the first speaker, and I took some notes here. Again, under oath on October the 8th, you stated you agreed that NPPD currently generates enough electricity for its own customers in Nebraska. And under oath, you said that over the next 10 years with the existing infrastructure of NPPD, the question was asked, over the next 10 years with the existing infrastructure of NPPD, does NPPD believe it will generate enough electricity to satisfy its own customers? And you said, yes, that's an obligation that we have to provide. You still stand by that?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Well, let me finish. You know, our obligation is to serve our wholesale and retail customers. And so our obligation is to have sufficient generation to serve those customers and the load growth that they have. So that's our mission, that's our obligation.
And I'll add that our latest integrated resource plan, which was completed, I believe, in 2013, showed that our next generation resource, depending on load growth, was needed in the mid-2020s. So that's about 10 years away.
Okay, and another question that was asked of you when you were under oath, what, if any, area of the state has problems with reliability? And under oath you answered, the big reliability area is in this north central Nebraska. I would describe it all the way from the North Fork Neely area all the way to Ainsworth.
That's correct. That's correct. It was part of the Zone 5 that I was describing here tonight.
Okay. Just ask a question of Mr. Ames there. You stated that there were few landowners tonight. You stated that there were few landowners that seemed to have concerns yet over this. When you told that there were 225 affected landowners in the going from the Gerald Gentleman up to the Thedford, you stated that there were few landowners that were still having a problem with this line. And you talked about the routing criteria. How accurate do you think that routing criteria is if you haven't actually even been on the route?
The routing criteria is based on data that we've been able to obtain to this point. It is not the final data. Things like threatened and endangered species, surveys haven't been done on those yet. And so those numbers are not very accurate at this point. They are based on state data, the only data available at this point in time. After we get access, after access is negotiated and surveys are done, that information will improve.
Okay, the reason I asked that is because at one of the open houses there at Burwell, I was asked by one of the members to identify a building on the route, and they couldn't tell whether it was a house or a barn, and it's my calving barn. And you know, if these high density, you called them high resolution aerial photographs are giving you the information you need, why cannot you tell the difference? My calving barn's pretty plain, my cows aren't too particular. But why can't you tell the difference between a calving barn and a house?
The aerial photos are taken from the air down and are based on roof line. We try to be very conservative with our air photo interpretation, and if it looks like a house has a driveway, certain types of gables, chimney, those kinds of things, we classify it as a residence. And we try to assume, well, we try not to assume that things are not residences. So we try to be conservative with the way that we're doing that. Then we go to these public meetings and we ask you if we're right. So in that case, we corrected that information.
Okay. One question I have for you, Mr. Hensley. You've been pretty vague in the past at the different meetings on describing your, you call them your material storage sites. Okay. What procedure do you use? You told how many acres they were, how far apart they are. What procedures do you use as far as acquiring those?
When we're looking for a site, first of all, we want to look for something that's going to be, good area as far as access and things like that to the best that we can. As far as acquiring the sites, we're going to go out, talk with landowners, and work with them to try to, acquire a site that they would also be in agreement with. And so it's just going to be a process of going out, looking, and talking to people, and then, coming up and finally determine where that site will be. We have the general areas, like Clint said, for like a storage yard or whatever. If we want them 50 foot apart, we're going to generally look for areas 50 foot apart. But we're not going to go out and say today, here specifically that piece of property we need. We're just going to work with the landowners and see how it falls out. As far as trying to come up with a site.